Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today, I'm going to talk about three brands that unfortunately I think are really going to suffer with what's going on in the world today. Guys, please note I also can't say the C word virus because of YouTube demonetization, so I'm just going to call it the sickness. Now, of course, before we get started, customary wristwatch check. I just got back from New York. I am wearing the Hulk. Now, I did buy a new watch. I will be revealing that in another episode. I'm going to do a review about that. And also, guys, the giveaway for the Zalos watch is at the end of the video, so please stick around. Also, don't forget to check out delraywatch.com. We just got in one of the most beautiful watches ever made in the history of watchmaking. That is a Roger Dubuis homage perpetual calendar double retrograde, also very rare, less than 28 watches in existence. We got in a Zinn 556, very cool, and a Breitling vintage Navitimer with an AOP-A dial. All that and more at delraywatch.com, link in the description below. So guys, I'm sure everybody here knows about the sickness that's been going around the world. Some people say it's blown out of proportion. Some people say, there's a lot more to come. I can't really comment on that. But what I can tell you is China is the world's second largest watch market. And it's having some real effects on kind of watch brands. There are a lot of brands that have their eggs in one basket, the quote-unquote Chinese basket, and the fact that basically China's almost shut down as a country. Lots of boutiques are closed, lots of people aren't shopping, either because they don't want to go in public or just because they don't think it's the right time to buy a luxury item. And also, the markets are all over the place in the U.S., the U.S. being the biggest watch market, so throw in China and the U.S. markets, and I think a few of these brands aren't for a world of hurting. Now, the first brand I'm going to go with is Mido. Mido is a Swatch Group brand, not the only Swatch Group brand on this list. A brand that basically doesn't exist here in the U.S., so I put it as kind of the one that's taking the least brunt out of these three, because, losing U.S. sales doesn't really matter. It barely had U.S. sales. More popular in Europe, but definitely popular in China as an entry-level luxury watch brand, positioned above Hamilton and below Longines. They produce about 500,000 watches a year, and I think they're going to be taking a massive hit with the lack of the Chinese market. Now, another watch brand that's not Richemont, that's not Swatch Group, this one is Richemont, is Vacheron Constantin. One of the Holy Trinity, one of the watch brands talked about the most in the world, but what people don't know or might not know is Vacheron is the most popular uber luxury brand in China. I mean, almost more so than Patek Philippe. I think more so than Patek Philippe. I mean, it is the top of the top in China. And what a lot of people also may not know, and I do know because I worked formerly for Richemont and I'm in the business now, is even though Vacheron is massively prestigious, they actually don't sell all that many units in the US. Quite popular in Europe, hugely popular in Asia. In the US, also popular with their sports watches, but everything else, not so much. And, with that being said, they are heavily invested in China, more so than any Richemont brand, in my opinion. And the fact that, the Chinese people aren't shopping, letting alone buying $30,000, $40,000 watches, is going to see Vacheron hurting quite a bit. And if you stick around, I'll tell you what all this means at the end. And now the third one, and I think probably the most popular brand in units in the luxury segment in China is a Swatch Group brand. It is Longines. I once was working at Wempe and I sold 51 Longines to one Chinese tourist. No, I'm not kidding. 51 Longines to one Chinese tourist. I definitely went out and got drunk and ate steak that night. I'll tell you that right now. But Longines is seen as the first good watch in China. It sells a ton of units. It's everywhere. I mean, Longines is more popular than almost any brand in terms of unit sales. And of course, that's going to suffer with, China hurting right now, especially because their sales, just like that of Vito and Vacheron, are very disproportionately based in China. Now, what does that mean, guys? Well, that means that not only these brands, but quite a few brands are going to be affected by this, and it might be a good time to buy watches. You might be able to get a better price down the line, particularly gray market and brand new, because dealers are going to want to sell units, especially because the brands are going to be pushing them to sell units. So I think for new watches, that's definitely going to take a pretty big effect. And also, I think for those models that are a little bit scarce, like Vacheron Overseas, Longines Legend Diver, I don't know a scarce Mido, but you may be able to get those a little bit easier here in your US-based ADs. Anyway, guys, that's what I think of the situation of the sickness and the effect it's going to have on these three brands and more brands. Now, let me announce the winner of the Zalos giveaway. That goes to Patrick Moore. Patrick, I'm going to shoot you an email in the next 48 hours. It's going to come from the @DelRayWatch domain address, and I'm going to get your address and I'm going to ship this out to you. Thanks to everybody that participated. I really, really appreciate it. Anyway, guys, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It really does help. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more content. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.